Friends of Islam, this time the Islamic faith is back before you to share Islamic information. I hope it inspires your activities today. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and activate the bell button notifications so you don't miss the latest news from the Islamic Faith channel. In a city center once adorned only with church spires and the chime of morning bells, the call to prayer now echoes through the air. Soft yet evocative, foreign yet reassuring. Yeravan, the capital of Armenia, long known for its Soviet architecture and ancient cathedrals, is witnessing the beginning of a new chapter in its history. In the corners of the city, mosques are taking shape. Not just one or two, but dozens, some say hundreds, are being planned. Some are being built from scratch. Others are repurposing long-abandoned buildings. Small white and green domes now stand alongside crosses and bells. I used to pass by here and see only empty parks and rundown buildings, says local resident Armin. Now there are mosques. I came just to look, but somehow I felt compelled to go inside. I felt at peace. These mosques are not just places of worship. They have become new community centers, where children learn Arabic, where teenagers discuss their faith, and where adults seek a deeper meaning in life. Small Islamic schools, halal shops, even cafes adorned with Quranic verses on the walls are springing up. What is remarkable is that many of these buildings are funded not by foreign donors, but by the local community itself. There is solidarity, a shared spirit, and most importantly, a belief that this is part of a genuine spiritual journey, not a passing fad. In small towns like Diligen and Vanadzor, places often overlooked on the tourist map, reports are emerging of modest mosques being built on the initiative of their own townspeople. In some cases, even Christian neighbors have volunteered to donate out of genuine tolerance and curiosity for the faith of the people living next to them. There is no denying that this is more than a religious transformation. It is a cultural revolution taking place without clashes, without violence. Footsteps to the mosques are increasing in number. The call to prayer is slowly becoming a part of everyday life. Armenian towns are beginning to speak two languages, the old and the new. And for many, the two can coexist, at least for now. Amidst the rapid changes, there is another sight that is both eye-catching and heartbreaking. Churches that were once packed are now gradually emptying. The Edge Cathedral, a sacred symbol and pride of Armenian Christianity for centuries, still stands in all its glory. But the hymns that once filled its grand halls are now often replaced by silence. The church bells still ring, but the sound of footsteps coming from all directions is no longer heard. This does not mean that the church has been abandoned. Christianity has not been forgotten. But many souls now find themselves on a journey, a spiritual journey that leads them to new questions and answers they never expected. Islam. We used to come early just to get a seat near the front at Sunday Mass, said Sister Miriam, a 68-year-old nun who serves at a church in Gamry. Now I can sit anywhere. Sometimes only 5 or 6 people show up. Some small churches, short of congregations, have begun to scale back their services. Some have been converted into art galleries, cultural centers, or multi-purpose halls. Many others are locked up, awaiting maintenance or facing sale because of unsustainable operating costs. For many of the older, more conservative generation, this is a wound. For others, it is simply the evolution of a society seeking new ways to understand the meaning of life. But relations between the two religious communities are not always strained. In some areas, rare moments of mutual respect are evident. Priests visit their pastors for open dialogue. Converts still help clean the churches where they grew up as a sign of respect. But the transformation is unsettling. We do not hate Islam, says Father Grigor, a priest in Yeravan. But we wonder, is this a sign that we are failing to reach the new generation? In the quiet corners of the city, the crosses still stand, but now in silence, witnessing a new wave, slowly but surely advancing, not to destroy, but perhaps to replace. And in that silence, Armenia holds a tender sadness, not because it was forcibly abandoned, but because it was loved in a new form it no longer recognized. Armenia is at a historical crossroads. On the one hand, this land holds the world's oldest Christian heritage. On the other, it is witnessing the birth of a new chapter as mosques are built, Islam grows, and hearts begin to turn to God by a different name. The question now is not whether this is really happening, but where is the nation headed? For some, this is a moment of spiritual awakening. After years of walking in one tradition, Armenians are opening their eyes to the diversity of faiths, to a more personal journey, and to the beauty of encountering the Creator in new ways. Armenia is on the road to true pluralism, says a young sociologist at Yeravan University. Not only in tolerance, but in a peaceful and diverse experience of faith. But not everyone sees it this way. Some call it an erosion of national identity, a cultural emptiness wrapped in spirituality. If the churches are empty and our children are reading Qur'an, this is not pluralism. This is transformation, says one conservative Christian figure. And the question is, are we ready to lose it? So far, the Armenian government has remained silent, maybe because it is too sensitive, maybe because it is too complicated. But behind the silence, society is moving forward. Muslim communities are becoming more organized. Islamic schools are emerging. Arabic is being taught as an elective in some private schools. Amid all this, there is a generation of Armenians who are growing up with two languages of prayer. One speaks with a cross on his chest, the other speaks with his forehead on a prayer mat. They live side by side. They are friends. They even marry in different religions. So now the world sees Armenia not only as the first Christian Holy Land, but as a new land of inquiry where two paths of faith intersect, side by side, and sometimes switch directions. Will it end in peace, or will it leave deep scars? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, Armenia is writing a new chapter in its history, a chapter written not only in ink, but in tears, beer, and the ringing of bells that now echo alongside the call to prayer. Dear Muslim friends, Armenia is a trans-Caucasian country located south of the Caucasus Mountains and facing the edge of Northwest Asia. With a population of 2.9 million, this ancient nation is one of the oldest centers of civilization on Earth. Armenia's geography includes high mountains, lakes, and fertile valleys, with the historic Mount Ararat, believed to be the place where Noah landed his ark after the Great Flood. Although Mount Ararat is currently in Turkey, it has been an important part of Armenia's history in the past. Ararat is a powerful national symbol for Armenia. The mountain appears in many aspects of Armenian culture, including art, literature, and the national emblem. In the Christian context, Mount Ararat is viewed as a testament to the biblical truth and the deep Christian influence in Armenia, the first country in the world to adopt Christianity as its official religion in 301 AD. Armenia is known as the land of Noah. The story of Noah and Ararat has become part of the Armenian national identity. It is said that Armenia is the land where Noah was sent by God to preach. For hundreds of years, Noah was tasked with calling the pagans Nasr, Yauk, Wad, and Suah to return to the path of God. However, his invitation was met with strong resistance and threats from the Armenian people. There are many local stories in Armenia that link Noah to Mount Ararat, including stories about Noah's descendants through a new civilization in the land of Armenia after the flood. Based on these stories, Armenians believe that their ancestor was Noah. This region is known as Haik or Hayastan, which means land of the Haik people. It is said that the Haik people are the descendants of the prophet and the builders of large ships. The Armenian region itself has been inhabited by humans since prehistoric times. Initially, this region was an independent land with an imperial government whose power stretched from the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea, even to the Mediterranean Sea. Of course, the scope of the Armenian region at that time was very different from today, which has no sea at all. The glory of the Armenian Empire, which lasted for several centuries before Christ, began to weaken after the 1st century Christ. Furthermore, in turn, other more powerful nations occupied this region, from Assyria, Persia, Greece, Rome, Byzantium, Mongolia, Arabia, Turkey, to the Russian Empire, which later became the largest communist country in the world, namely the Soviet Union. At the peak of its glory, Armenia stretched from the coast of the southern central Black Sea to the Caspian Sea, then from the Mediterranean Sea to Lake Urmia in Iran. Today, the part of Armenia that is located in the former territory of the Russian Empire declared independence on May 28, 1918. However, in 1920, the region was invaded by troops from Turkey and Soviet Russia. The Armenian Soviet Republic was established on November 29, 1920. However, 2 years later, Armenia was part of the Transcaucasian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic. In 1936, the republic was dissolved, and Armenia became a constituent republic of the Soviet Union. After centuries of serving as a colony, Armenia finally became an independent country on August 23, 1990, after breaking away from the Soviet Union. However, even though they finally gained full independence, there are still many problems that Armenia must face, especially the ongoing conflict with Azerbaijan. For Christians, Armenia is considered the Holy Land. This is because Armenia was the first country in the world to recognize Christianity as an official religion since 301 AD. In fact, it was earlier than the Roman Empire. This is evident from the history of Prince Gregory, nicknamed the Illuminator, who played an important role in the spread of Christianity in this country. He is known to have performed miracles and healed Tiridates III, who ruled Armenia in 330 AD, so that Christianity became the official religion in the country. In fact, Christianity has existed in this country since 4 AD, which means before the emergence of the Roman Empire. Although it was once ruled by the understanding of the 5 Ki conquests, there may be a typo here. Please confirm the real meaning. Most of whose populations were Muslim, Christianity remains the majority religion to this day. Although some parts of Armenia border countries that are identical to Islam, such as Turkey, Iran, and also Azerbaijan, it is estimated that the current Muslim population of Armenia only numbers around 1,000 people, or less than 0.1% of the total population. The handful of Muslims who live in Armenia are mostly not native citizens, but come from Azerbaijan, a neighboring country whose majority population is Muslim. Armenia has experienced its darkest period, known as the Armenian Holocaust, and was the first genocide in the 20th century. It is said that around 1.8 million people were killed in the Armenian genocide. This action did not take place in Armenia, but in the Turkish region which borders directly with that country. Although it is still debated, the Armenian genocide is said to have inspired Hitler to carry out similar actions against the Jews in Germany during his leadership of the Nazis. The land of Armenia holds so much hidden beauty waiting to be explored. Ancient monasteries and temples that are thousands of years old and full of mystery. Vast hills and meadows stretch out, decorated with snow on their peaks. Welcome to our new episode, exploring the beauty and spiritual heritage of the land of Armenia. Armenia, the land of 1,000 monasteries in the land of Noah. Join us on an amazing journey, crossing majestic mountains and green valleys that are home to thousands of ancient monasteries that are hundreds of years old. The first journey to discover the wonders of this country begins in the capital of Armenia, Yeravan. In the city of Yeravan, located 1,300 meters above sea level, there are so many interesting and historical places to visit. Yeravan is the capital of Armenia, the largest and most populous city in the country. The city is located in the western part of Armenia, near the border with Turkey, in the Ararat Valley, approximately 1,000 meters above sea level. Yeravan is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, founded around 782 BC by King Argishti III of Urartu, although the history of this region began several centuries earlier. Since Roman times, Yeravan has been part of various kingdoms and states, including the Persian, Roman, Byzantine, Ottoman, and Russian empires. The city combines modern architecture with historical monuments. Because of the distinctive pink color of its buildings, Yeravan is often nicknamed the Pink City. Some of the interesting places in Yeravan include Republic Square, considered the city center, complete with the National Independence Monument. Yeravan Cascade, a monumental complex of steps and terraces in the city center that serves as a center for cultural activities, galleries, and exhibitions, and offers stunning views of the city. The Blue Mosque, one of the unique and interesting buildings in Yeravan, is also the only remaining mosque in the predominantly apostolic Christian country. The Blue Mosque is located in the center of Yeravan. It is the only mosque still standing out of the dozens that once existed in Armenia. In the Blue Mosque, visitors can find various halls that are used for cultural activities. Occasionally, exhibitions featuring Iranian arts and crafts are held in one of its rooms. One can take Persian language classes for free at the Blue Mosque. At the entrance of the mosque, there is a beautiful garden. The garden is filled with various flowers and trees. There are fountains and benches, making it a very relaxing and cool place to unwind, especially if you are feeling tired after walking around the streets of Yeravan. The Blue Mosque in Yeravan has quite an interesting history, although it is not fully known. Its construction was ordered by the then governor, Hussein Ali Khan, who represented the Persian government in the region. This is related to the fact that Armenia had been under the rule of various Muslim rulers in the past. Construction of the Blue Mosque began around 1760 and was completed around 1764 to 1768. After that, the mosque was immediately inaugurated and opened to the public. At that time, Yeravan was a provincial town with a population of around 20,000. A few decades after the Blue Mosque was built, Yeravan and eastern Armenia fell under the rule of the Russian Empire. Following the Russo-Persian War of 1826 to 1828, the Blue Mosque has become one of the most important and enduring historical relics to this day. In addition to Armenians, a large number of individuals, especially refugees living in Armenia, also visit or utilize the Blue Mosque for religious, social, and cultural activities. Following the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the diversity of the population in Armenian cities has increased. This makes the assumption that everyone walking the streets is Armenian not entirely accurate. Apparently, some women display physical features that resemble a Slavic appearance, suggesting their Russian origins. This phenomenon reflects the impact of the wave of migration, especially involving Armenian men, resulting from the influx of migrants from Russia. This cultural exchange is reflected not only in personal preferences, but also in the linguistic landscape of the city. Although Armenian is the mother tongue, Russian and English are very prominent in everyday conversation, especially in urban environments. If we examine the genetic makeup of the Armenian people, we will find that their genetic traits are more similar to those of the Caucasian people than to the Slavic race. In general, people in the Caucasian region are characterized by dark hair and dark skin, traits shared by Armenians, as well as citizens of neighboring countries such as Georgia and Azerbaijan. Armenian men typically have dark hair and a more rugged appearance, while women tend to have dark hair and tan skin. In terms of livelihood, individuals seen on the streets of Armenia come from a variety of backgrounds, including office workers, students, and retirees. Those involved in business often seek opportunities outside Armenia, with Russia and European countries being the main destinations. Armenia itself faces challenges in the form of limited trade markets and a lack of attractive job opportunities. This condition encourages many of its citizens, especially those with an entrepreneurial spirit, to seek more promising prospects abroad. In terms of cost of living, Armenia, like many other places, varies depending on the lifestyle of each individual. However, according to several expert websites, the cost of living in the Armenian capital is about 10% cheaper than Mexico City, but 22% more expensive than Bogota and on par with Buenos Aires. In terms of safety, according to travel recommendations from the Spanish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the crime rate in Armenia is low. The country can be considered safe to visit, as long as you avoid conflict-prone border areas and follow general safety recommendations. Armenians have a reputation for being very friendly and open individuals. Sometimes they are not afraid to talk about personal matters. In Armenian culture, family plays a very important role, with strong family ties. It is not uncommon for adults to still live with their parents, reflecting the importance of family values that are held in high regard. In the midst of urban life, gender roles in Armenian families still often reflect a patriarchal structure. In traditional families, men are generally considered the heads of the household who hold full authority, while women usually bear the main responsibility for raising children and taking care of the household. Although many Armenian women initially engage in the workforce, their focus usually shifts to domestic responsibilities after childbirth. The primary responsibility for earning a living generally falls on the shoulders of men. Meanwhile, the importance of having children is highly emphasized in Armenian culture, especially considering the country's relatively small population of only about 3 million. The drive to increase the population for the sake of the nation's future is a common sentiment among the population. Of the total population, about 1.6 million are women, while the number of men is estimated at only about 2 million, indicating a relatively stable demographic balance, but still a national concern. However, a major challenge facing Armenia is the demographic imbalance, which is exacerbated by the fact that many young men are migrating to countries such as Russia. This creates a population imbalance within the country, especially in the working age group. Family dynamics and migration intersect, as Armenians grapple with the need to maintain and increase their population. In the midst of this, Armenians are seeking alternative ways to earn financial gain. They recognize that the domestic job market does not always provide high incomes. In the capital, Yeravan, recreational activities such as betting on sports competitions are common pastimes. This reflects people's efforts to cope with economic challenges through creative means. Cleanliness of the city remains a priority in Yeravan. Although vehicles from various economic segments continue to flow through the city, the casual behavior of pedestrians, such as crossing the street without paying attention to traffic lights, indicates a lack of enforcement of traffic violations. One of the challenges that are often faced is the summer, when the air becomes very hot and dry. To overcome this, fountains scattered around the city not only provide a source of fresh water for residents and tourists, but also beautify the cityscape. This beauty is often captured in photographs by visitors and locals. Yeravan's well-organized metro system creates a transportation network that connects various parts of the city efficiently. This makes it easy for commuters to move around, especially in dense and busy areas. One can easily find secondhand booksellers and antique shops, especially around public squares, which are often hubs of social interaction. On weekends, these squares transform into vibrant spaces filled with life and activity. The cafes scattered around the city landscape offer comfortable places to relax. It is in these places that Armenian hospitality is most evident. Locals are happy to greet visitors, extend a friendly hand, and strive to provide the best service possible, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere for all who come. Traditionally, Armenians believe that they are descended from Haik, the great-grandson of Noah. They consider Mount Ararat to be the ancestral homeland of Noah's family and the mother mountain of the world. This famous mountain later became the national symbol of Armenia, even used as the emblem of the country's shield. According to legend, Haik freed his people from the hands of Nimrod, the Babylonian leader known as the builder of the Tower of Babel, and often considered the first tyrant on earth. Haik is believed to be the founder of the Armenian nation and gave the new land its name. In the 9th century BC, the area now known as Armenia was part of the kingdom of Urartu, a vast empire that spanned an area from eastern Anatolia, in modern-day Turkey, to what is now Iran, Syria, and Asia Minor. Urartu's capital was Erebuni, which later grew into the city of Yeravan, the capital of modern-day Armenia. Urartu was eventually conquered by the Assyrian Empire in the 7th century BC. Armenia is named after Mount Ararat, a sacred and iconic mountain that has historically been important in Armenian cultural and religious identity. According to biblical sources and other ancient traditions, Mount Ararat is believed to be the place where Noah's Ark rested after the Great Flood. As such, the mountain is known as Noah's Land and has become a symbol of hope and inspiration for Armenians, both domestically and in the diaspora around the world. The majestic view of Mount Ararat can be enjoyed even from the city of Yeravan. However, the best viewpoint can be found at Khor Virap, a location located about 30 kilometers southwest of Yeravan and only about 100 meters from the Armenian-Turkish border. The Khor Virap Monastery is one of Armenia's most important pilgrimage sites, as it is believed to be the place where Saint Gregory the Illuminator, a key figure in the spread of Christianity in Armenia, was imprisoned for 13 years before he baptized King Tiridates III and made Armenia the first country to adopt Christianity as its official religion. Today, the Yeravan monastery is a strong symbol of national identity for Armenians. Armenia is a popular tourist destination, offering visitors a variety of stunning hiking trails. Its magnificent landscape includes dense forests, highland lakes, waterfalls, rivers, canyons, cliffs, and stunning natural scenery. The country is also part of a world-class hiking trail spanning 3,000 kilometers, the Trans-Caucasian Trail. Armenia's national stage on this trail offers the most spectacular terrain, with a route spanning 827 kilometers. The full trail takes hikers from Kayan to Dilijan National Park, enriching their adventure experience. In addition to its natural beauty, Armenia is also widely known for its chess culture. Chess has been a part of Armenia's history since the 9th century and has even been a compulsory subject in modern schools since the 20th century. The sport is believed to contribute to the formation of children's mentality and thinking skills. The Armenian chess team has achieved many achievements at the European and Olympic levels, even winning the World Championship in 2011. Outside of chess, Armenia is also known for its keen interest in athletics, especially weightlifting and wrestling. The country has won gold and silver medals in both sports at the Olympic Games. The Shirak and Lori regions, especially Chataika, are important centers for agricultural and livestock production in Armenia. The region accounts for about 74% of the country's total agricultural land, and about 16% of Armenia's total agricultural output comes from the region's arable land. In addition to its agricultural potential, the province is also a major tourist center, with many historical and cultural attractions. One example is the Asat Valley, which stretches from the Caucasus Mountains to the lakes in the south. The valley is a popular tourist destination, offering stunning natural scenery and well-preserved traditional villages. In the upper part of the Asat Valley are a number of historic monasteries, including the Geghard Monastery, which has been designated a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. The main chapel of the monastery was built over 800 years ago and is one of the finest examples of Armenian stone architecture, unique and full of spiritual significance. However, the history of Geghard Monastery actually begins in the 4th century AD, when it was founded by Gregor the Enlightener, a key figure in the spread of Christianity in Armenia. The Armenian region is also known for its incredible natural beauty, as well as being an ideal place to practice winter sports, especially in the country's best ski resort located in Sagkadzor. In addition, the region is home to many traditional towns, including the city of Devin, which was once the capital of Armenia in the 5th century. The region also contains many historical monuments, such as the Garni Temple. The temple was built in the 1st century AD by the Armenian king Tiridates I and was dedicated to the god Mitra. The architecture of the temple is an impressive example of the Hellenistic and Roman influences on architectural styles in Armenia. Armenia is known for being the first country in the world to make Christianity its official religion in 301 AD. This conversion is a fundamental part of Armenia's history and cultural identity. According to Armenian tradition, the gospel was first preached in the region by the apostles, such as Bartholomew and Nathaniel. However, the most influential story in the history of Armenian Christianity is the role of Gregor the Enlightener in spreading Christianity widely. According to traditional Armenian history, King Tiridates III suffered from mental illness and was known as a cruel ruler in the early 4th century AD. However, after being cured through prayer and miracles performed by Gregor, who had been imprisoned for years, the king converted to Christianity. In 301 AD, King Tiridates III began construction of the Echmiadzin Cathedral, known as the first Christian cathedral in history. It is now considered the spiritual center of the Armenian Apostolic Church and is the holiest site for Armenian Christians. To this day, about 97% of Armenians consider themselves members of the Armenian Apostolic Church, demonstrating the strong spiritual and historical ties between the Armenian people and their religion. In Western Armenia, Armavir province is the smallest but most populous province in the country. Situated on a fertile plain between the Aras River and Mount Aragats, the region is renowned for its fertile vineyards. Armavir is also home to some of Armenia's finest wineries, which not only supply domestic demand, but are also exported to other countries as part of Armenia's rich culinary and cultural heritage. The Armavir region is home to several important sites in Armenian history. One of these is the pagan temple of Abernats, built in the 1st century AD and later replaced by a Christian cathedral in the 4th century after Armenia adopted Christianity. The site is now considered a World Heritage Site. Not far from there is the Echmiadzin Temple, which is the spiritual center of the Armenian nation and the headquarters of the Armenian Apostolic Church. The province of Aragatsatan, whose name means "at the foot of Aragats," is located in the western region of Armenia. Mount Aragats itself is the highest mountain in Armenia. The province is home to the Psalter Monastery, an important center for the study and copying of religious texts, especially the biblical Psalms. The heyday of Armenian architecture in the Middle Ages makes it a popular tourist destination. Not far from the monastery is the Ambered Fortress, a fortress built in the 7th century AD, located on the southern slopes of Mount Aragats. This fortress has interesting historical and architectural values and is an attraction for visitors who like historical tourism. Armenia also has an important history in the world of education. The world's first arithmetic textbook is known to have been written in the 5th century AD by a famous Armenian mathematician and philosopher, David Anhat, better known as David the Invincible. However, one of the most interesting aspects of Armenia is its language itself. Armenian has a unique alphabet that was created in the 5th century AD by a monk and scholar named Mesrop Mashtots. He created the Armenian alphabet to translate the Bible into Armenian. Before that, Armenians used Greek or Persian letters. The Armenian alphabet originally consisted of 36 letters and has now grown to 39 letters. Interestingly, the creator of the Caucasian Albanian alphabet is also known to have been involved in the development of the Armenian alphabet. The Armenian alphabet is crucial to preserving the national language and culture, serving as a symbol of national identity and the basis of Armenia's rich literary heritage. Today, Armenia has a number of secondary and higher education institutions, including universities and technical colleges, offering a range of study programs, from elementary education to postgraduate degrees in a variety of fields. Armenian is the primary language of instruction at most of the country's educational institutions, although some universities also offer programs in foreign languages, such as English or Russian. This reflects Armenia's efforts to maintain its linguistic and cultural identity while remaining open to global influences in education. In the region of southern Armenia, with its mountainous landscape rich in natural resources and history, the region is renowned for its natural beauty and ancient churches and monasteries. One of its main attractions is the world's longest non-stop double-track cable car, which connects the city of Halitsor to the Tatav Monastery, hidden amidst the mountains. The surrounding area is also home to a number of interesting archaeological sites, such as Karahunj, often referred to as the Armenia's Stonehenge, and Noravank Canyon, a spectacular canyon known for its impressive red rock formations. In addition to its rich history, Armenia is also renowned for its rich wine heritage, especially in the Irani Valley, considered the oldest wine-growing region in the world. According to Armenian tradition, winemaking dates back to the time of Noah, and the tradition has been passed down for thousands of years, becoming an integral part of Armenian culture. Armenian art is also an integral part of the people's lives. Armenian art reflects a rich history and deep belief in ancient traditions. For example, the use of footwear in Armenia is recorded to have existed 1,000 years before footwear was found in ancient Egypt. Armenian art is renowned for its intricate ornamentation and deep spiritual meaning. Since the 4th century AD, when Christianity became the official religion of Armenia, art underwent a major transformation. Artists began creating works depicting biblical stories and religious figures, strengthening the role of art as a medium for expressing faith and culture. Armenian church and monastery architecture is renowned for its elegance and refinement. In addition to religious art, Armenian art encompasses a variety of forms, including finely detailed sculptures, ceramics with colorful designs and geometric patterns, jewelry made from precious metals and stones, and rugs with intricate designs and bright colors. Armenian rugs have been woven for centuries and are an important part of Armenian culture. They are made from high-quality wool and woven in a very tight technique, featuring colors inspired by nature, religion, and Armenian mythology. Armenian food is a unique and delicious blend of flavors and textures, with a variety of dishes that reflect the intangible heritage of humanity and culture. Among the typical Armenian dishes are lavash, a traditional Armenian flatbread that is a symbol of culture, made from flour, water, salt, and yeast. Ajika, a spicy sauce made from red peppers, garlic, herbs, and spices, usually served with meat and vegetables. Basturma, dried and cured meat, usually lamb or beef, often served with bread and cheese. Dolma, a roll of rice, onions, herbs, and spices, wrapped in grape leaves or lamb intestines, served with yogurt sauce. Kebab, a skewer of meat, usually made from beef, chicken, or lamb, served with rice and vegetables. Gata, a sweet pastry filled with walnuts and honey, popular during holidays and special occasions. With dishes rich in flavor and tradition, Armenian cuisine offers an enticing and satisfying experience. Gegarkunik, often referred to as the heart of Armenia, is located in the interior of the country and is one of the largest provinces in Armenia. The province is rich in geographical diversity, including mountains, lakes, and fertile valleys. The region is home to Lake Sevan, Armenia's largest freshwater lake and one of the highest mountain lakes in the world. Lake Sevan is one of Armenia's most popular tourist destinations due to its scenic beauty, historical significance, and important natural environment. In addition to being a charming tourist destination, Lake Sevan is also an ideal location for a variety of recreational activities on its shores. Although Armenia does not have a sea coastline, the beaches of Lake Sevan are some of the best places in the country to sunbathe and enjoy beach activities. Not only is the lake stunningly beautiful, it is also surrounded by impressive monasteries. One of the most famous is the Yeravan Monastery, founded in 874 by Princess Mary, daughter of King Ashat, the first king of Armenia. Originally built on an island in Lake Sevan, the monastery is now located on a peninsula due to the lake's lowering water levels. The Yeravan Monastery consists of 2 churches and offers stunning panoramic views of the lake and the surrounding mountains, making it one of Armenia's most memorable spiritual and historical sites. In its vicinity, Armenia played a significant role in the history of the Silk Road, an ancient trade network that lasted from the 9th century BC to the 14th century AD. The Silk Road stretched from the eastern shores of the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea and from the Caucasus region to the Tigris River. Armenia was at the center of this trade network and had close ties with most of its neighbors, including Turkey, Azerbaijan, Iran, and Georgia. As an important trade and cultural center, Armenia played a key role in the development of the Silk Road. Its strategic geographical position between Western Asia and Eastern Europe allowed Armenia to be part of international trade and cultural exchange that lasted for centuries. Armenia is also famous as a provider of various products that were sold to the West, one of which is the apricot, which is now the national symbol of Armenia. The history of this fruit began in the 4th century BC, when Alexander the Great brought apricots from Armenia to Greece, which then spread them to various parts of the world. Traces of Armenia's rich history and development can be found in its historic cities, one of which is Ani, the ancient capital of Armenia. Ani is a city with a long history that dates back to the 5th century AD. The city was founded by Armenians and is one of the most important historical sites, renowned for its magnificent architecture and its role as a center of culture and trade in the past. Friends of the Islamic faith, the growth of Islam in Armenia reflects the spirit of spiritual search that knows no ethnic or historical boundaries. Despite facing challenges in a predominantly Orthodox Christian society, many are beginning to see Islam not as a threat, but as a way of life that brings peace, discipline, and compassion for others. Friends of the Islamic faith who are blessed by Allah, I hope this video is useful and see you in our next video.